You don't get a better life by waiting. You get it by building better habits. That one sentence might be all you need to hear today. Because the truth is, your life right now is a reflection of your habits. What you do, how you think, how you show up, and how you react. If you've been stuck, lost, or mentally tired, it's not because you're broken. It's because your daily habits are not working for you. They're working against you. The good news is this: you can rewire your entire mindset by changing what you do every day. Not next year, not next month, today. This audiobook will walk you through 10 positive habits that will rewire your mindset. These are simple, clear, real-life practices that help you think sharper, feel better, focus stronger, and finally move forward with your life. If you apply just one of them, your life will shift. If you apply all 10, everything can change. No hype, no fluff, just truth, results, and your next level. Chapter 1. Wake up with a purpose and stop wasting time. Wake up with a purpose and stop wasting time. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful changes you'll ever make in your life. Every day people open their eyes and roll out of bed with no idea what they're doing, no direction, no urgency, no reason behind their actions. And that's where most people lose. Not because they're not smart, not because they don't have talent, but because they start the day like it doesn't matter. And when you live like that, the day slips right out of your hands. You need to start waking up like your life is on the line, because it is. You don't get this day again. You won't get these hours back. If you don't use this time to build something meaningful, it disappears forever. And that should bother you. That should shake something inside of you. Because your time is your life. That's all life is. Time. And when you waste time, you're wasting your own life. There's nothing more painful than looking back and realizing you did nothing with your days. Now, I'm not talking about being busy. I'm talking about being intentional. Waking up and saying, I'm doing this today, and I know why. That kind of clarity changes everything. It gives you energy. It makes you sharp. It helps you say no to distractions. It makes your actions stronger, faster, and more direct. Most people don't live with intention. They live with routine. Same thoughts, same habits, same excuses, same complaints. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Waking up with purpose means you stop handing your time over to the world. You stop letting the day control you, and you take charge. The people who succeed, the ones who grow, the ones who make a difference, they don't drift. They decide. And that decision starts the moment they wake up. They don't scroll their phone. They don't hit snooze. They don't wander through the morning. They move with a reason. That's the mindset that rewires everything. Purpose gives you fire. You feel it when you wake up and know what you're chasing. You don't need motivation when you have a reason. And that's what most people are missing. They wait to feel good before they act. But people with purpose don't wait. They act, and the feeling comes later. So stop looking for some perfect moment. You create the moment by doing what needs to be done. Every morning, ask yourself, what am I building today? Not what's on the to-do list, not what you feel like doing. What are you building? You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. You build strength by facing the things you avoid. You build a future by doing something today your future self will thank you for. That's what purpose looks like in real life. It's not a feeling. It's a decision. backed by discipline. If you keep waking up without a plan, you're setting yourself up to repeat the same cycle. That's why people feel stuck. That's why they feel tired. That's why they lose their drive. It's not because life is unfair. It's because they live without intention. You can have a better life if you start owning your mornings. Not someday, today, right now. If you give your time the value it deserves, your whole life will start to change. Your purpose doesn't need to be some grand mission. Start small, start real. Maybe it's getting in shape. Maybe it's becoming more disciplined. Maybe it's building a business, fixing your finances, or changing how you think. Whatever it is, tie it to your daily actions. Make it matter today. Because if it doesn't matter today, it won't matter at all. Don't live your life always preparing to start. That's how people waste decades. Start treating time like money. Would you give away your last dollar to someone who didn't earn it? Then why do you give away your last hour to things that don't grow you? Think about that. Your time is your currency. Spend it wisely. Invest it in habits, thoughts, and actions that take you somewhere new. Every time you use your time well, you build momentum. And that momentum becomes progress. That progress builds confidence, and confidence builds a new mindset. But it all starts when you stop wasting time. When you wake up tomorrow, don't grab your phone, don't check your messages, sit still for a few minutes, breathe. Ask yourself, what do I need to focus on today? Not what's urgent, not what people expect. What matters to you? That one question can shift your direction. Write it down. Set your focus. Start the day with strength, not reaction. That's how you take back control. You won't always feel like doing it. That's normal. But discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable, and over time that becomes who you are. Your habits shape your identity. You want to be someone strong? Start acting like it when no one's watching. You want to be someone focused? Then remove the distractions and do what needs to be done. It starts small, but it becomes permanent when you repeat it daily. People always talk about success like it's some mystery. But it's not. It's just consistency around the right habits. Waking up with a reason. Taking your time seriously. Respecting yourself enough to stay disciplined. That's it. It's not complicated. But it takes work. And that's why most people don't change. They want the rewards without the routine. But you're not most people. You're here because you know there's more. You know you've wasted enough time. You've delayed enough dreams. You've talked yourself out of progress too many times. And now it's time to stop. Wake up with a mission. Act like it matters. Because it does. There are people counting on you. Even if they don't say it. Your future is counting on you. And it only shows up when you do. So tomorrow morning, give yourself a new start. Get up early, think clearly, move with intention, and start rewiring your life one habit at a time. The first habit is simple. Wake up with purpose and stop wasting time. Get that one right, and everything else starts falling into place. Chapter 2. Plan your day before the world distracts you. Plan your day before the world distracts you. That's one of the best moves you'll ever make for your growth, your peace, and your future. Because once your feet hit the floor, everything around you is designed to pull you in 100 directions. People will want your time. Notifications will beg for your attention. Your mind will start jumping from one thing to another. And if you haven't taken control of your day first, the world will take it for you. The truth is, most people live in reaction. They don't decide how their day will go. They respond to what shows up. They open their phone, check emails, scroll through messages, and start following everyone else's agenda. And what happens next? The important things don't get done. The goals stay goals. The stress builds. The mind gets cluttered. And they end the day wondering where the time went. You can't afford to live that way. Not if you're serious about changing your life. Not if you want to rewire your mindset. Your goals, your focus, your habits, they all depend on how you start. Planning your day is how you set the tone. It's how you stay centered. It's how you get the right things done instead of just staying busy. Because being busy isn't the same as being productive. You can be busy all day and still fall behind. But when you're intentional, when you plan, your actions move you forward. Before the noise begins, you need silence. Not just physical silence, but mental clarity. That happens when you take time in the morning to decide what matters most. You sit down, you grab a notebook, you write out your top 3 goals for the day. You decide your priorities, you think through your time, you schedule your deep work, you create space for focus. And when you do that, you stop leaving your life to chance. Most people don't realize this. But planning your day gives you power. It gives you control. When you plan ahead, you remove guesswork. You don't sit around wondering what to do next. You've already decided. That's the difference between progress and procrastination. People who wing it usually waste it. But people who plan it, build it. And here's something else. Planning your day reduces anxiety. Your mind gets overwhelmed when you're trying to hold too much in your head. But when you take 5 to 10 minutes in the morning to put it all down, what needs to be done, when you're doing it, what you're focusing on, you free your mind to think clearly. You give yourself direction. You stop overthinking because now there's structure, and structure brings peace. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need fancy systems or 10 apps. All you need is intention. You wake up, you take a breath, and you ask yourself, what must get done today to move me closer to the life I want? That's the question that sets your standard. That's the question that eliminates distractions. Because when you're clear on what matters, you stop chasing everything that doesn't. You see, people waste hours because they never stop to decide what matters most. They move from one thing to another, reacting, responding, checking, scrolling, and by the end of the day, their energy is gone. But imagine if you planned ahead. Imagine starting the day knowing what deserves your energy. That's how you make progress you can feel. That's how you end the day with pride instead of regret. Planning also builds discipline. It teaches you to value your time. You start treating your hours with respect. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on structure. Because when you plan ahead, you don't need to feel like doing it. You already scheduled it. And that schedule becomes your commitment. And that's key. Commitment. Not just to tasks, but to growth. You can't grow if your days are filled with noise and confusion. You need space to think. You need time to execute. And that starts with a plan. You sit down, look at your day and ask, where am I going to put my energy? What am I avoiding that needs to get done? Who do I need to follow up with? What distractions do I need to cut today? These are the questions that make you sharp. They keep you from drifting. They keep your goals alive. Here's another truth. Planning your day helps you build better habits. Why? Because habits don't form just from repetition. They form from clarity. You're more likely to follow through when you know exactly when and how you'll do something. If you say, I want to read more, but you don't schedule time, you'll skip it. But if you say, I'll read from 7 o'clock to 7:30 in the evening, now it's real. You've made space for it. That's how habits get wired in. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on structure. Rely on clarity. Because when life gets messy, and it will, your plan is what holds you steady. It's what keeps you moving. It's what helps you win even on the hard days. If you only work when you feel great, you won't get far. But if you plan your time, you'll get results, whether you feel like it or not. Now, I want you to think about this. If you don't control your time, someone else will. And usually, it's not someone with your best interest in mind. That's why you need to take ownership from the very beginning of the day. Your goals, your mental health, your energy, they all depend on how you spend your time. And that starts with a plan. Your mindset gets sharper when you plan ahead. Your confidence grows because you stop living in chaos. You stop forgetting things. You stop feeling like the day got away from you. And that consistency, that sense of control, that's what builds a new identity. You start to see yourself differently, not as someone who's always behind, but as someone who's in charge, as someone who respects their time, as someone who shows up with focus. And that's powerful, because once you shift how you use your time, you shift how you live. And once you shift how you live, your results change. Planning your day might sound small, but it touches everything. It touches your work, it touches your health, it touches your goals, it touches how you talk to people, how you treat yourself, how you feel when the day is over. It's not just a habit, it's a foundation. So if you want to rewire your mindset, start right here. Start tomorrow. Wake up and plan your day before the world gets to you. Sit with your thoughts. Write down your priorities. Choose your focus. Then go into your day with strength. Go in with control. Go in with direction. That's how you stop surviving your days and start building your life. One clear plan at a time. Chapter 3. Talk to yourself like someone you respect. Talk to yourself like someone you respect. That one shift can change the way you live, the way you think, and the way you show up in the world. Every day, we have an ongoing conversation in our minds. We wake up and start talking to ourselves. We judge, we compare, we criticize, we question our worth, and most people don't even realize how damaging that voice has become. It sounds familiar, but it's often harsh, impatient, and negative. The truth is, if someone else talked to us the way we talk to ourselves, we'd cut them off. But we keep listening to that inner voice because we've never learned to speak to ourselves with the same respect we show others. If you want to rewire your mindset, you have to start by changing your internal language. You cannot build confidence by tearing yourself down. You cannot grow stronger by feeding your mind with doubt. You cannot create a better life if you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough to deserve it. The way you speak to yourself becomes the way you see yourself, and the way you see yourself controls what you expect from life. Start paying attention to the words you use when you think about yourself. Would you say those same things to a friend you admire? Would you tell someone you care about that they're lazy, worthless, or not good enough? Would you roll your eyes when they try something new or make a mistake? Of course not. So why do you do it to yourself? That habit needs to end. It doesn't help you. It holds you back. It keeps you playing small. And it becomes your identity if you don't fix it. Respecting yourself in thought is not about ego. It's not about pretending you're perfect. It's about giving yourself the same kindness, patience, and encouragement that you give to others. You've made mistakes. So has everyone. You've failed at things. So has everyone. But you're still here. You're still trying. That counts for something. That deserves respect. That deserves better words inside your head. When you speak to yourself like someone you respect, your posture changes. Your decisions become bolder. You start believing you can change. You stop settling for less. You stop tolerating things that make you miserable. You start choosing what builds you, not what breaks you. And all of that begins with one simple shift: your internal voice. It's easy to let self-talk spiral out of control. One small mistake turns into, "I always mess things up." One missed goal turns into, "I never follow through." That kind of talk kills progress. It turns short-term setbacks into long-term identities. And before you know it, you're carrying around shame that doesn't belong to you. Respect means being honest, but also being fair. You can admit where you went wrong without calling yourself a failure. You can want to improve without thinking you're broken. Your mind listens to everything you say, even when you're joking. When you call yourself lazy, your mind takes note. When you say you're not smart enough, your mind starts believing it. And once a belief is repeated enough, it becomes part of your behavior. That's why it's critical to replace negative self-talk with language that builds strength. You don't need to be overly positive or fake. You just need to be accurate and constructive. Start catching those automatic negative thoughts. Don't let them go unchecked. When you hear yourself say, "I'm not good at," say, "I'm still learning this. I'll get better." When you feel yourself thinking, "I can't handle this," change it to, "This is hard, but I've handled hard things before." That's not fluff, that's mental training. That's how you rewire the way you think. Think about how you talk to a child who's learning. You don't shout at them when they fall. You don't insult them when they don't understand something right away. You guide them. You encourage them. You tell them, "Try again." You remind them, "You're doing great. Keep going." Now ask yourself, when was the last time you said those words to yourself? Every time you tear yourself down, you reinforce the belief that you're not enough. But every time you lift yourself up with respect and encouragement, you reinforce the truth that growth is possible. And that truth will carry you through the hardest moments of your life. Respectful self-talk also builds mental toughness. You'll need it when things get rough. Before I left the fleet, I saw with my own eyes many truths. You'll need it when people doubt you, when results are slow, when fear shows up. If your mind turns against you in those moments, you'll quit. But if your inner voice is firm, calm, and clear, you'll stay the course. You'll remind yourself why you started. You'll tell yourself, "This is worth it." That inner strength becomes a shield, and it's built word by word, thought by thought. Some people believe that being hard on themselves keeps them disciplined, but there's a difference between discipline and disrespect. Discipline is saying, "I expect more from myself because I know what I'm capable of." Disrespect is saying, "I'm not good enough, so I'll never make it." One lifts you up, the other wears you down. If you want to be consistent and resilient, you need discipline without the abuse. You need to push yourself with respect. Start being the voice you wish you had when you were struggling. Speak to yourself like someone who wants to grow, not someone who's doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Remind yourself of the progress you've made. Talk about your goals like they matter. Celebrate your effort, not just your outcomes. That's how you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is what leads to real confidence. Confidence doesn't come from achievements. It comes from the relationship you have with yourself. If you speak with encouragement, honesty, and patience, you become your own supporter. And when you have your own support, you stop needing so much approval from the world. You stop chasing praise. You stop fearing judgment. You start moving through life with quiet power. Because deep down, you know you've got your own back. You're not going to get everything right. You're going to have days where you slip. You're going to have moments where the negative thoughts come rushing in. That's normal. But what matters is how you respond. Will you stay stuck in that mindset? Or will you stop, correct the thought, and replace it with something stronger? Every correction is a step forward. Every kind word is a building block. And over time the old patterns lose their grip. So check your tone when you talk to yourself. Notice the language. Notice the energy. Start building a new habit of speaking with respect. Speak like someone who wants to see you win. Speak like someone who believes in your potential. Speak like someone who knows you've got work to do, but also knows you're capable of doing it. You're with yourself every moment of your life. You hear every word you say inside. Make sure those words push you forward, not pull you back. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be real. And real means treating yourself with dignity, even in the struggle. That's the shift that rewires your mindset. That's the habit that separates you from the person you used to be. You've spent enough time listening to doubt. It's time to build something better. One word at a time. One thought at a time. One decision at a time. Talk to yourself like someone you respect, and you'll become someone you respect. That's where real change begins. Chapter 4. Take action when your mind says, delay again. Take action when your mind says, delay again. That moment, when your thoughts start convincing you to wait, to postpone, to think about it later, that moment is the exact turning point where your future is decided. Not tomorrow, not next week, right there. When the idea comes and your mind resists, that resistance is the wall between who you are and who you could become. And most people lose that battle, not because they're weak, but because they believe the delay. They trust the voice that says, not now. And they don't even realize that voice is what's keeping them stuck. Delays don't always look like fear. Sometimes they show up dressed as logic. I'm tired today. I'll feel more ready tomorrow. This isn't the right time. Let me just rest a bit first. That voice sounds reasonable. It even feels protective. But in reality, it's a habit of hesitation. And if you don't challenge that habit, it grows stronger. The more you delay, the more it becomes part of your routine, and eventually you stop trusting yourself to follow through. You can't build anything with hesitation. You can't grow with avoidance. You can't become your best self while always postponing the work. That's why this one habit, taking action exactly when your mind says delay, is the breakthrough. It's not about motivation, it's about response. That first few seconds, when your brain says pause, that's when you step forward. Not because you feel like it, but because you've decided to be the kind of person who follows through anyway. The real challenge is internal. You know what you should do. You've thought about it. You've planned it. But when the time comes, you start negotiating. That's the trap. The mind will try to bargain its way out of discomfort, and you have to be quicker than the excuse. The window is short. Seconds, sometimes. Either you act, or the mind takes over and pulls you back into delay. And here's the truth. Every time you act when you don't feel like it, you build discipline. You send a message to your brain that you're in control now. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need full energy. You don't need more time. You just need to start. That one decision creates momentum, and momentum is powerful. Once you begin, things start shifting. Energy shows up. Clarity returns. The task you were avoiding no longer feels as heavy. It's the starting that was the hardest part. Think about how many things in your life could have already been finished if you had just started when it was time. That conversation you keep pushing off. That task you keep saying you'll get to. That goal you promised yourself you'd work on months ago. They're not undone because of lack of knowledge. They're not undone because of lack of time. They're still waiting because of delay. The habit of putting things off steals more dreams than failure ever will. The longer you delay, the heavier things feel. A simple task starts to feel like a burden. A 1-hour job becomes a mental weight. And over time, that weight turns into guilt. You start thinking, why can't I just do it? But it's not about your ability. It's about your pattern. Your brain got used to comfort. It built a pathway that says, if it's uncomfortable, avoid it. But you're not here to stay comfortable. You're here to grow. And growth only happens on the other side of action. You won't feel ready. Stop waiting for that. Most breakthroughs happen when you move forward despite the feeling. The mind wants safety. The soul wants expansion. And they often don't agree. That's why you feel internal conflict. But every time you choose movement over delay, you build a stronger version of yourself. You become someone you can count on. Someone who doesn't get pushed around by hesitation. There's power in doing the small things immediately. Waking up when the alarm rings. Answering the email you've been avoiding. Getting started on the workout. Opening the book. Sitting down to work. These don't seem like big things, but they are. They're the proof that you're becoming someone who follows through, and that consistency will change your identity. When you take action despite resistance, your self-respect increases. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits. You start seeing yourself as someone who gets it done. That self-pigeon upgrade is what drives long-term change. You can only respect yourself when you live in a way that aligns with your goals. And that means not giving in to delay when you promised yourself progress. This isn't about speed, it's about intention. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to act when your mind tries to stall. That's the rule. When the hesitation shows up, don't argue with it. Don't debate it. Don't sit with it. Just act. One step. One movement. One decision. Break the pattern before it becomes a cycle. You don't need more time. You need less hesitation. That's what most people don't realize. They think they're waiting for a better moment, but really they're just practicing avoidance. And practice makes permanent. So stop practicing the delay. Practice execution. Practice being the person who moves, even when it's hard. Practice courage in motion. Delays rob you of peace. When something needs to be done and you avoid it, it stays in your mind. It drains your energy in the background. That message you didn't send. That decision you didn't make. That task you didn't finish. They don't disappear. They linger. And every time you think about them, your stress increases. But when you handle them immediately, you free your mind. You make space for focus, creativity, and confidence. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. Delay keeps you in a loop of someday. But someday doesn't exist. There is only now. And now is the place where everything begins. If you train yourself to take action the moment hesitation shows up, you take back control. You stop being a victim of your emotions. You stop waiting for life to feel right. You create the right feeling by doing the right thing. Everything you want requires action. Goals don't respond to intention, they respond to execution. If you delay, the opportunity passes, the energy fades, the momentum dies. That's why you have to act faster than your excuses. You can think later. Right now, you move, you start, you show up. That's the real difference between those who grow and those who stay the same. You have more control than you think, but control comes from action. You can't think your way into change. You have to act your way there, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's unfamiliar. Your next level is hidden behind the thing you keep avoiding. And the only way to reach it is to go through that resistance without delay. So the next time your mind says, "Do it later," recognize it for what it is. It's not a valid reason. It's a test of your commitment, a test of your priorities, a test of your mindset. And the only right answer is action. Not perfect action, just action. You start where you are. You use